So I have an idea about this science fiction book that I want to write. It's a three-part series. And I just thought about it last night while I was sleeping. I don't know if it was a dream or whatever, but I thought this might be kind of a cool idea. So I'll try and give a quick little summary of what the science fiction is going to be like, a little bit about the hero and all this kind of stuff. And then as I go, I'm going to start fleshing it out and writing about it and all this kind of stuff. But basically the idea behind it is I want to write 3 books on this guy, and his name is Radar Rider. And I got the idea from a song called Radar Rider, and it was from a cartoon called Heavy Metal. And in the movie, and if it's rated R, the movie, and even though it's a cartoon, but I haven't seen it in like 20 plus years, 30 years, something like that. But I remember going to the movie theater to go see this movie, and I was in line with my dad. When we got to the front of the line, they said it was restricted, even though it was a cartoon, and I said, yeah, your son can't come in, so we had to go home. We weren't allowed to see it. So I felt bad for my dad because he wanted to see the show as well. So anyways, I think I was like 14 or something like that. So anyways, there was one scene where it was at the beginning of the movie, I believe, where this guy gets dropped off by a ship. He's in his car, and the car is floating in space towards Earth. And once it gets to Earth, it starts burning up and all that, and it goes through the atmosphere. And he's got a full space suit on and all this kind of stuff. And just as he gets close to the Earth, his parachute opens up and slows him down just enough that he lands, and then he puts it in gear and then takes off racing. And I thought, man, that is such a cool scene. The music was great and everything, and the more I listen to it, the more I get an idea for this character. So I'll probably listen to the song a few more times. If you haven't heard it, it's called Radar Rider, I believe. And so the idea is 3 books. One of them, right now, I can see this guy being the king of either a solar system, his solar system, he's the king. And another one, he is like either a bounty hunter or something like that, almost like a criminal on the run. And then the first one is he's in prison. So I want to do it kind of backwards somehow, where the first time we see him, he's lost everything. So, but we don't know what he's lost. We see him in prison in a labyrinth. It has to be like a huge labyrinth, and it's an entire planet that is a prison. And he's below ground in a maze that is just beyond belief. There's no way anybody can ever get out. So that's kind of how it starts, is I'll build up that this guy's in prison, and he has his eyes gouged out. And there's a reason for that. And he's chained up against the wall, and he's guarded 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of his life. And that is his sentence. They give him food and water, some rations and that, but he did something so bad that he is not to be released at all. He just is chained, and this is like the worst prison conditions and all this kind of stuff. So that's kind of how it starts. The second book is, I'm not sure if that's the one where he's the king or if he's the bounty hunter. And then the last one might be the king, but it's kind of like Lord of the Rings, the king thing. I don't want to do that at all, because that's not what this is. So I think the second book is going to be he's a king. The third one is he's going to be a bounty hunter, something like that. So, and then after the bounty hunting and all this kind of stuff, he actually ends up in prison. So we're going to be reading the books in reverse order, because we're going to be wondering how good this guy was. what made him so good that he became king. How did he become a king and all this kind of stuff, and how did that work in this universe? And the universe is basically, what do I have? It's a universe full of different types of gems. So each planet represents a different type of gem. It's all, every planet has a mine, that kind of stuff. Some are futuristic, some are like the Old West, kind of a mine and all this kind of stuff. So it just depends what planet you are on. And as a bounty hunter, he visits each one of these planets trying to collect his bounty, collecting these different jewels and all that. Some of them fuel his ship and all this kind of stuff. So that's the third one for now. So that's my idea anyway. I got to flesh it all out, obviously. You know, what put him in prison, the worst of the worst prisons for anyone. What did he do that was so bad that he's in this prison and he's blind and he's chained and he's guarded for life? And does he get out? That's the question. Second one is, what made him the king of his solar system, where everybody is coming to him and paying tribute and all this kind of stuff, and he has a queen and all this? What happened? You know, how did that all set up? And then the third one is the bounty hunter years, if you will. What made him a bad guy? Like, why did he do all this kind of stuff? So those are the 3 books that I have in my head, and I just came up with it last night. So I'll probably flesh it out, but I'm also working on my first book, which is nonfiction, because I want to understand how it works to get my book published as fast as possible so that I could write my science fiction books.